Welcome to Beyond Belief Q&A, transforming force into flow. Now, if you would like to subscribe, click on the subscribe button below, followed by the bell to be alerted every time a new Q&A video comes out. Now, today's question is from Sue about how to know the difference when fear arises or if it's your intuition speaking to you. And Sue's question is, I trust my intuition, but sometimes I can't tell whether I'm in fear about going into the unknown or it's my intuition telling me not to go that way. How can I tell the difference between intuition and fear? Great question, and one I've worked on for years. The fear can result from two states: psychological fear, which is generated from the mind, and physical fear from a real current threat. It's usually the psychological fear in us which causes excessive thinking about anticipating a future event in a negative way. And when the thinking dominates, intuition is blocked. Now, you want to be able to discern the difference between thinking and the intuitive voice. When thinking is dominating, it's like being in a noisy nightclub and hoping you can hear someone whisper across the room. Alternatively, when intuition speaks, it's like walking through a forest filled with birds singing, wind moving through the leaves, and it has little noise and not much to distract you from being able to hear those inner whispers. Now let's look at fear. Fear, which is an emotion linked to a thought, has a different feeling quality to it than intuition. Fear has a far more contracted feel to it and involves conceptual detail. Fear also transmits as a vibrational energy and continues to attract what it fears. It is alive, but it doesn't have aliveness. Rather, it has a heavier sensation. And psychological fear can be triggered by a recent event or through conditioning in childhood, forming a false perception of people, yourself, and the world. And unhappiness is caused by the stories we tell ourselves, irrelevant to the actual situation. So here's an example. A woman I saw as a client had a fear about forming new relationships because she expected to be disappointed and rejected and lied to. Now, this was resulting from a trauma by her ex-husband years before, and the memory was still very much alive. So she'd go on dates and look for what was wrong with potential partners, always causing her to walk away, justifying her position that men can't be trusted to avoid intimacy and being hurt again. She formed an identity of being a good woman surrounded by bad men and attracted other good women with the same issue to reinforce her identity and maintain the protection from activating the future pain of betrayal again. The fear and emotions and thoughts of the past on intuition were dominating. Now, intuition is a knowing. There's a clarity and it gives a different vibrational sensation within the body to fear. It's a wholeness, it's expansiveness. It has no polarized thought. It feels peaceful. It is awareness which exists outside of the mind. Although the mind may come in afterwards trying to serve some rational perspective to that which has none. Intuition comes in many forms: a voice, through a dream, a deep knowing, or it could be attached powerfully to a mental thought. Now, I'll give you an example of my own personal experience from fear and intuition playing out simultaneously. Years ago, I was driving down a steep, curving hill and my car spun out of control. Was there oil on the road? I don't know, but I was in total fear as I tried to control the car through trying to anticipate where to turn the steering wheel next. Now, I was heading for the cliff's edge and a really bad outcome. And in all of the blur, I heard this distinctive loud voice: take your hands off the steering wheel. Now, in an instant, I'd gone above the paralyzing fear and to trust, and immediately removed my hands from the steering wheel. The car was spinning in circles, and miraculously there was no oncoming cars in the other direction. My car backed itself into the cliff face rather than the cliff's edge with a thud and stopped. Now, the distinction between the fear and the intuition was undeniable, and an example I care not to repeat. And I never did find out what caused the car to spin out of control. But I experienced a fear of death while heading towards the cliff's edge. And in that frozen, thoughtless state, I was forced into allowing my intuition to directly connect with me in that moment. And for me, it translated into a loud voice, and I knew I had to trust it. I experienced a knowing beyond all rationalization and analysis. Now, you don't have to go about it this way. Going beyond fear automatically opens up the intuitive self and connection and unification to source. Now, here are some ways that you may want to try doing this. Acknowledge the fear and accept that you have the power to transform its grip. That allows you to see a different perspective beyond the reactive one. Facing your fears by naming the emotion and thoughts accompanying the story allows you to become more aware and present to it. It creates the space to extract yourself from the false perception of the situation. Now, embrace self-compassion towards the process of transforming fear. Going in and telling it to go only forces resistance at another level. Call in support, whether it's from the formless realm, guides, angels, spirits, or it's a friend telling you to remind you of your spiritual practices. Because through stillness and presence, your intuition will communicate with you as a truth, a knowing, a whole body experience, or a loud voice. It's always there, it feels alive, and fear expressed in the psychological state will be an experience of heavier emotions, contracted, speaking within your head, usually in anticipating of something that has not yet happened yet, but tries to convince you that it will. Your heart knows the way, run in that direction. And that's a great quote from Rumi. Thank you for your questions, Sue, and thank you for watching. Any comments, please post below in the comment section. And if anyone has a question about love, life, business, or wealth, click on the link below and I look forward to answering it. Until next time, live your dream.